republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time I would ask for a moment of silent reflection, please. Thank you. Okay. We're going to open up the meeting with our public hearing on Local Law 1-2025. Tamara, you want to read that?
Please take notice that a public hearing will be held by the town of Lewiston, Niagara County, New York, on the 29th day of May, 2025, commencing at 6 o'clock p.m. at the Town Hall, 1375 Ridge Road, Lewiston, New York, on the adoption of a local law, code enforcement law. Said law is intended to provide for the administration and enforcement of the New York State Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code and the State Energy Conservation Construction Code in the town of Lewiston. The complete text of said law is on file at the office of the town clerk and is available for review by any interested person during business hours. At such public hearing, all persons interested who wish to be heard will be heard. Dated May 15th, 2025.
Okay. I have nobody signed in for the public hearing on Local Law 1-2025, the code enforcement law. I'll ask again, is anybody here to speak on behalf of the code enforcement law? Okay. I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Cal, do you want to go ahead and move on that right now?
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay. So you want to explain?
Certainly. The law that has been drafted was adapted from a model law that has been provided by the state effectively so that the town does not have to redraft local code whenever the state revises one of the aforementioned state requirements. So it basically adopts the state laws and the state regulations as they're modified from time to time and has it in one central location. So I would highly recommend that you approve the law. It certainly is going to make things streamlined, so as the state adopts and improves its code, it will automatically be incorporated into the town law.
I need a motion on the code enforcement law.
I'll make the motion as we adopted.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Any questions for Al? This is the one we've been working on for quite some time.
Exactly. We had to throw it in front of the fire inspectors,
Right.
the building offices, and everything else. We finally got all the code, all the comments together and incorporated.
Yeah, we worked on this as well, right?
Yeah, it's, I'm gonna go up to the big guns,
Okay.
move up my pay grade.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Agenda approval. Under legal, I need to add FOIL attorney. Under engineering, Bob, you need to add
authorization for you to execute the contract for Riverfront Park, subject to attorney approval.
to sign the contract.
Sign the contract, yes.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything to add to the agenda?
Yeah, on mine, I got Wilton Energy, the replacement of lights at the police station.
Anybody else? Ask for a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Make that motion.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resident statements. I have Jeff Myers, 4925 Creek Road Extension.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening.
Speak up as best you can.
Thank you for
Yep.
the opportunity to speak this evening. I'm here on behalf of my brother Dan Myers, who resides at that residence. Bit of history there. That property butts up against the former Kojak train rail and has been flooding for about 5 years. It's been getting progressively worse, and due to my brother's health concerns, I've stepped in to ask if I could work on it for him on his behalf, and he's fantastic. The work that is just started this week is incredible work. It was discovered that piping well before this administration was put in by the city to address that drain. I want to recognize Mitch and his team that are doing phenomenal work. It's a great crew that are out there working. I'm happy to be able to do that. So the Kojak line has been neglected and it's fallen into disarray. And I've spent a lot of time trying to get National Grid, who now owns the property, to address that. The leaks from above that are coming through and running into the residents' parcels. No avail. They have a deny, delay, defer policy, and I've stuck out many times. I've also been in contact with several people on the board over time, you yourself, Rich, to see what I can do, where can I go next, what evidence can I do, possibly go after with all fail. So this week was really pleasant on my trip here from Seattle to see that Rich and his team were working on it and addressing it. In one day's time, they stopped the flooding, which had done extensive damage to my brother's home. There's basement flooding, all kinds of damage. There's 3 things I want to raise and ask here. One is, I know you're doing their 2026 property reassessment. This problem has had for 5 years, and I think I'd like to ask for a reassessment looking 5 years back, consider reducing that rate for that 5 years, and really taking into consideration the amount of damage to that property now. It is not what it used to be, what I remember from 5 years ago. So that's number one. Number two, completion of the work. I have no complaints about how that's going. In fact, I have no complaints at all. I'm a person who likes to look forward, not backward. And the system that's failing now was installed by Lewiston. I love the fact that they're preparing it now and they're going to help other neighbors along the way. My ask is that there is a considerable amount of damage that has been done to the property in the last 5 years. If there would be some way that the town could come in and refurbish the land a little bit. It is expensive. It's been falling down. There's dead trees around that you can't get in. And
Refurbish which land?
The property that butts up against the Kojak land. So that property, my brother's property, is in very much in disarray due to the flooding. We've already covered, our family's already covered the costs of repair inside the house. We installed a sump system. We came back and we worked the sump system to work correctly so it wasn't flooding out on Highway 18. Again, Mitch and crew helped us there. Because it was, frankly, dangerous. So, I'd like some consideration on perhaps clearing away some of the large logs and debris that piled up over the couple of years. That,
So on your brother's property?
yes. I mean, trees were falling down, and he had them cut up. Those are the 3 things I wanted to address. But there's a larger problem, and that is the Kojak property up there. And my wife often tells me, I think big. I actually love thinking big, and I think about possibilities. I think that towns should consider acquiring that land through adverse possession, because you're already maintaining parts of it now. Reuse that land for a gentle slope hike. You could monetize that piece of property in some way and use it instead of having me stand up and complain about floods and other neighbors that complain about floods. There is solutions to go in and address the water issue that I think will pay benefits years to come. So I'm open to questions. I'm willing to help in any way I can.
Well, the first question would be assessor, or the second question is you would have to make an appointment and talk to the assessor.
I will.
So so that's the first thing, that would be handled through the assessor's office. I'm sure if you're from, New York State, town workers cannot do private property work. They can't come on and do work on private property.
Okay.
So, the HOJAC line, we can look into it. We made attempts to contact some of the National Grid. We don't own any property back there. So, but, I'd be more than willing to continue this conversation with you, because like I said, I talked to you before. Okay? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Hannah Davis, 5330 Town Line Road, Sanborn.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for letting me talk. I'm here on behalf of my family concerning the Niagara Pumpkin Farm / Nightmares / Westville, New York Property Kings. I was wondering if there was any new developments and what is going to be happening to him. I mean, he's still advertising all of his Western New York Property Kings. He's got trailers out in front, he has all his equipment on his property that is truly visible. He's in a rural residential area. From commercial trucks to equipment being delivered, lumber being delivered, it's all in his driveway. It's just on display for the road. I was told 3 years ago that I had many police at my house, police at his house, saying that they could do nothing about the harassment, nothing about the things that were being done on his property until someone got hurt. Last fall, someone got seriously hurt. Can something be done now concerning this situation? Because it is, as they put it, quote, a nightmare. This year, for the last 2 years, he's had agritourism status. This year, he has to plant his own crops. The Hoover boys cannot do it for him. He has to produce all of his own crops and pumpkins. He cannot have things coming from outside. Before he moved in, it was a very quiet neighborhood. It was a great neighborhood to live in. People talked. People did not have fights. I have sat in my father's driveway, well, to my property now. My father passed away 1.5 years ago. I have sat there and I have watched fire trucks. I have watched numerous ambulances. I have watched police cars going in and out. I've seen people going in and out with their ATVs and their dogs and things that are not by code. We used to be able to sit. The police were called. The New York State Police were called on me for sitting in front of my barn, reading a book, sitting under my dad's tree, as something that my dad and I used to do. The state troopers came and talked to me. I can't even sit on my property. I cannot walk my property line. I get harassed. Please, what can be done? There's supposed to be a court date. When?
Supervisor, if you don't mind, I would hesitate to say anything right now as to what progress has been made, only to assure you that progress has been made. And if I can get your name and phone number, I'm sure
we have it.
Supervisor
Tim has it.
I'll reach out to you directly.
Please.
As your personal experience will probably be part of the filing that takes place.
I will go in there.
Thank you.
I will do anything I can. Please.
So I'll make sure that I reach out to you, okay?
You know we're well aware of the situation. And Tim, I wish Tim was here. Tim's off this week, he's on vacation.
I've been waiting for a week
Yeah.
and I didn't get in contact and I was.
I can attend the meeting with Al and maybe have Tim there,
That'd
do
be
it in
great.
Tim's office.
My husband and I would have.
Okay.
Be very much willing to sit down and talk to you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Ms. Davis. Okay, department head statements. Tamara, anything? Clerk's office? Chief?
Yes. Looking for approval tonight from the board to purchase a camera tower from Recon View. The total is $41,507.95. That's out of the grant tech money that we already have from the state. It's already be spent on this stuff anyway, and we already purchased one of the cameras. I already talked with the town attorney, Mr. Bax confirmed that we're good for the purchase, to government service, the federal contract award as well.
Okay, Jackie, you're good with the grant and everything?
Coming out of the grant.
Yep. Yep, we have enough money left.
John, what do you think?
Oh, yes, I'd definitely like to make that, motion for the chief. And, anything else tonight? Good for you.
Yeah, so we have a motion, we have a second on purchasing that, what is it again, chief?
Mobile camera tower,
Mobile camera tire, $41,000.
$41,507.95.
So we have a motion and a second, any questions for the chief? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. And I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, Councilwoman Wechter is on vacation, will not be here tonight, so, I should have mentioned that at the beginning of the meeting. Jackie, anything here on the agenda? Mitch, anything? No. Danny, anything? Jeff?
I just wanted to say the Morgan, relief sewer job that we're planning on doing, everything is ordered, and, I'm just gonna have to work it out with Mitch down the road and see when we can, go ahead and install it.
Bob?
I'm the agenda supervisor.
You know anything? Melinda?
Yes, I can tell you that today we had our volunteer recognition, for all our volunteers. We have about 37 volunteers that help us at the center, which are amazing. So we honored them, they had lunch, and we made them baked goods and all kinds of fun stuff like that. So that was nice. We did that to show our appreciation. On June 11th, we're having our Father's Day lunch to celebrate all the fathers at the center. And we'll do our monthly flower arranging on the 20th. And we're starting Scrabble. So if you had a burning desire to play Scrabble on Fridays at 10:30 in the morning, now is your chance. Come on down. We've got some people that want to play Scrabble, and we're doing that. We're going to try that out. It's gotten off to a slow start because whatever. I don't think people want to come out because it was cold and rainy, but we're going to give it a shot tomorrow and see what happens. I've got 2 people we're bringing on the band, so unless they change their mind between now and then, we're going to be doing it for sure. So come on down. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Tim Smith?
Yes, if I can, thank you, Mr. Supervisor, board members. We are looking to get all 6 of our parks in the town of Lewiston sprayed for ticks. I think you guys all have the copies of the bids. I got 4 bids. I also gave a condensed version of the 4 bids. The 6 parks are Kiwanis, Fletcher, Colonial, Riverfront, the Dog Park, and Sanborn Park. That would start in June. Viper Pest Control of Lower River Road. They would do a one-time granular application around the perimeter, and the harborage along with the grass at a one-time cost of $18,698. That is a 30-day guarantee. Emerald Lawn Care.
Let me stop you.
Yes, go ahead.
You don't have to go through each
Okay.
one. You could just basically mention that Emerald Lawn Care was the low bidder.
Emerald Lawn Care was a little better, yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
there you go.
So, Emerald Lawn Care was the low bidder at a total cost of $9,900. The price per application was $1,980. They recommend treatments until October. If we have dry months, they're not gonna do it. I've received numerous complaints about ticks in our parks. There's nothing they can do about Stonehaven. Stonehaven is what it is. If you go to Camp Stonehaven, be prepared. Mosquitoes and ticks, they're bad. But the other parks, we're definitely gonna spray for ticks. It'll be on our website. I know we gotta get through baseball, we'll have to close the dog park for at least 2 days. So I appreciate it. Tim and I talked and we move forward. So I would ask for a motion to award the bid to Emerald Lawn Care for a total cost not to exceed $9,900.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. Anything else?
Just got our baseball going on, our camp starting up shortly. We got yoga on Thursdays in the month of June. Also Zumba will be going every other week in June as well, all down at the Riverfront Park. It's all on the website, it's all on Facebook, so a lot going on. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Supervisor?
Yeah.
We'll take that, funding from the B fund balance to cover the expense for the
Okay,
parks.
so can I have a motion to, pay for that out of the B fund balance?
A motion also.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Approved.
Thank you.
Okay. Approval of the minutes for the work session on May 12th.
I review them and I'd like to make a motion.
Second.
A motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carried. Councilman Morio.
I move to approve the regular abstract of claims 25-01220 through 25-01386 and recommend total payment in the amount of $477,656.54 plus the post audit payment in the amount of $34,540.16. The motion.
Second. With a motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Old pending business, President's Park concept.
Yeah. Town of Lewiston State Environmental Quality Review Act, negative deck and notice of determination of non-significance. Planned unit development, PUD, President's Park Apartments, Washington Drive, Lewiston, New York. Whereas a proposed planned unit development known as President's Parks Apartments, located at Washington Drive, Lewiston, New York, along with a local law changing the zoning of said parcel to accommodate the PUD, is being considered for approval by the town of Lewiston. And whereas short environmental assessment form, EAF, part 1 was submitted by the applicant, and part 2 and 3 were completed by the town engineering consultants, GHD, with a recommendation for a negative deck. And whereas the town board has considered the project and reviewed it in light of the criteria set forth in SECR in order to determine whether the project will have a significant effect on the environment. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lewiston hereby declares itself lead agency for the purposes of SECR review of the project, and be it further resolved that based upon the information set forth in the EAF and for reasons more fully set forth in parts 2 and 3 of the EAF, the town board hereby determines there will be no significant environmental impacts with regard to the project, and hereby adopts and issues a negative deck under SECR with respect thereto, and be it further resolved that the town supervisor be and hereby is authorized to execute any necessary documents in conjunction thereto. That is a motion to accept the negative deck in the project.
Motion with a second?
Second.
With a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
The Town of Lewiston Resolution Concept Plan Approval for Plan Unit Development, PUD, President's Park Apartments, Washington Drive, Lewiston, New York. Whereas the Town of Lewiston received an application from Five Quarter Development, the applicant, for a planned unit development, PUD, consisting of an apartment building complex with related community building, recreational facilities, and outdoor space to be located at Washington Drive, Lewiston, New York. And whereas pursuant to the Town of Lewiston Code, Article 19, the applicant's concept for the PUD is currently under review. And whereas this applicant had already previously received a concept plan approval from this board for a similar or less dense development at the same location. And whereas this applicant then applied to the town for Lewiston Board for bonus density for said project and was approved for an additional density by the town board action on or about November 25th, 2024. And whereas the applicant, Town of Lewiston Planning Board reviewed the most current proposed concept plan titled President's Park Apartments, Washington Drive, Lewiston, New York, and dated February 6, 2025, and recommended approval to the town board. And whereas the Town of Lewiston Town Board on May 12, 2025, did hold a duly advertised public hearing at Lewiston Town Hall, 1375 Ridge Road, Lewiston, New York, regarding the application for concept plan approval, and at such public hearing, every party wishing to be heard was heard. And whereas the town board has considered all relevant testimony, documents, and all other information presented and placed before it, Now therefore be it resolved that based on the testimony, documents, and other information presented and/or submitted, the town board makes the following finding. A, that the PUD concept plan meets all the standards set forth in the Town of Lewiston Town Code at section 360-125. And be it further resolved that the concept plan for President's Parks Apartments is referenced on such drawings dated on 2/6/2025, together with all related and relevant materials submitted therewith, is hereby granted and approved. So, this is gonna need a vote now.
So that's a motion. Can you have a second? We have a motion and a second, no questions. So go ahead.
Discussion. Okay, this is the concept plan that we're accepting right now. There's gonna be traffic studies, there's gonna be sewer studies, and I'm gonna be very stringent in looking at these. I don't want a traffic study done in July, obviously. I want it done when the school's in session and when the golf course is open. I'm gonna be looking at the sewer study. I think that could be.
I'm gonna interrupt you there. Bob, you wanna touch base on this? I talked about it extensively about the sewer study. I'm
Yes,
sorry,
sir.
I just wanted to.
Yeah, no, I'd rather.
So relating to the sewers, okay, for a project like this, we have to have what's called a downstream capacity analysis, okay? That is not necessarily capacity at the treatment plant, it's capacity of the conveyance system to get from the apartment site to the treatment plant, okay? So it's a linear conveyance part that has to be evaluated. So and that has a process that has to do with flow monitoring for a period of time at several different locations, or they call them nodes, basically they're manholes between the site and the treatment plant. And there has to be some wet weather events captured during the flow monitoring period to see how the existing system reacts to wet weather events. And then at the conclusion of that, okay, a flow metering is done, a report's prepared by the applicant and the applicant's engineer, and it's submitted for review and discussion and hopefully approval at the end of the day of how to get it there. The current concept, okay, is very simple. It is the apartments will discharge by gravity to an 8-inch collector sewer on site and connect to the existing sanitary sewer system in the area. That's the concept. Very simple. The proof of concept lies in the downstream capacity analysis. And if the results of that confirm that gravity, yes, indeed, is an option and that will work, well, then the concept is verified. However, if for whatever reason the existing linear infrastructure system does not have adequate capacity, then what you may go to, the applicant may consider is a pumping station on site with a force main, and that force main would then be piped for some distance to some location, at which point there is adequate capacity to convey the sewage to the treatment plant. So the concept is simple. It's the proof of concept which is where the rubber meets the road, so to speak.
So this study can go on for 6 months, because in July, there's not a issue.
Yeah, right, July typically is dry weather, okay, thankfully. And then you want to make, the chances of rain are just less in the summer than the fall or the spring. But yeah, you'd want to do it to get both dry weather, to see how it behaves in dry weather conditions, and then see how it behaves in wet weather conditions. And see if, again, that would be the proof of concept. Is there adequate capacity in the existing conveyance system under wet weather events to get it from A to B?
Jeff, you want to make a comment on that?
Every wastewater treatment plant in New York State has inflow and infiltration problems. I think we figured out that there would be how many gallons per day? 60-some thousand,
I think it is.
The last wet weather event that we had, we put 13 million gallons of untreated water into the Niagara River. So 60,000 gallons a day coming to our plant. It's not gonna overload anything. Like Bob says, if you have a wet weather event, might not be room in the pipe. So downstream sewer capacity analysis would be the way to go.
In regards to a traffic study.
Yes.
Will another traffic study be required for the project?
The planning board requires it, certainly, or the town board requires it.
It's per code.
Yeah.
If the
In
board.
addition to the one that you, it's already been
Yeah,
done.
There was no
Yes.
traffic study.
I thought they would, no.
there was not a formal traffic study, there was communication between the applicant and New York State DOT relative to traffic on Creek Road. Which the DOT said there's not a problem. The code says as part of detailed design, which will be the next step for the applicant to proceed, if it passes the board, will be to do a detailed, what's it called here? Let's see, during the detailed design phase of the project, the applicant must conduct a traffic and transit impact analysis in accordance with section 360-124, which is the code that governs this project.
Who determines when they do that?
That's part of detailed design, so that would have to be done as part of the detailed design submission. So there's much work that is in front of the applicant, detailed design, approvals and so on. You know, there's health department approval for the water, DEC approval for the sewer. Army Corps of Engineers has a jurisdictional determination that was issued June 11th of 2021. It has a 5-year clock on it. If that will expire in about a year, in July or June of 2026. So if anything changes from that jurisdictional determination, they must either give another one or comply with whatever Army Corps dictates. There's a traffic study, and I think that was it. Those are the big items. I think it's a good suggestion to do it. In any cases when you're doing studies or analysis, you don't want to do it. You want to do it under the worst conditions.
Right.
It has to perform under the worst conditions, not the best. So the traffic would be, not at midnight on a Wednesday.
Within the school year.
School year,
School
yeah,
year.
yes, because those will be the conditions where it's the worst.
So, any other questions for?
No, there's stipulations I would like, if that moves forward in any way, but that's something we'll discuss at a later time.
Okay, anybody else have any questions?
Do you have something from Sarah?
Yes, I'm gonna read it, I want to see if you have questions.
I kind of want to go with you.
Okay.
Hold on, so you,
Just as a general reminder to the board, if the board does approve a concept plan, the detailed plan goes back then to the planning board for another goal.
Right. So, Sarah Wechter sent me an email, and she says it is regret, that I am unable to attend tonight's meeting and be present for the vote on President's Park development. However, I would like the record to show that I am not a supporter of the bonus density which was granted by the town board's vote, and therefore not a supporter of the President's Park development as it stands presented. And as always, I appreciate those from the community who have reached out with comments with regards Councilwoman Sarah Wechter.
Well, having heard that, I share her opinion. You notice I voted for the seeker, and the reason I voted for the seeker is because there's nothing wrong with the seeker. It's been properly prepared, it's been fully researched, and we can't just randomly say, well, I'll throw that out because I don't like it. But as a concept, this oversized project in that neighborhood, I don't feel it belongs there. I don't feel it's in the best interest of the town. And I understand that you're going to do a comprehensive study of the traffic and the sewage problem. I know the developers bent over backwards, but had he kept his project a little more in keeping with the size of the neighborhood, he might not have to be bending over backwards. In my opinion, it's an improper project for our community, and I can't vote for it.
Okay. So moving this forward, the concept plan, again, I am comfortable with what's going to occur from here on out. After speaking with Jeff Ritter, with Bob Lannon, with Tom Seaman, our attorney, with Al Bax, our attorney, that it's going to be scrutinized and move forward. This is just to push the project forward to get the information that we need to have to make the decision. Unfortunately, our code, which we didn't create, we're actually trying to correct it, basically, a concept plan could be submitted, as Bob Lannon and Tim Messer says, on a cocktail napkin. We don't have, I would like to have a traffic study, I would like to have the sewer information before we move on the concept plan. Unfortunately, our code does not provide that. That'll come with the detailed plan. So I'm comfortable moving forward until we get the detailed plan to see all the questions that were arisen on sewer, and the traffic study. So, anything, Jason? Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No,
Okay. Motion carried. Thank you. Nothing under new business. My liaison report, legal, the fire contract for Lewiston 1. Al, you want to touch base on that?
And I apologize, I was stuck back.
That's okay.
What were you referring to?
So, Lewiston 1 is the only fire contract we had approved, and it was basically a wording thing with the village.
That's correct.
You want to explain that?
Of course. The town provides fire service for the entire town, including the village. With each of the departments, we have contracts. This one is a little bit more complicated in that it involves the village of Lewiston together with Lewiston 1. There was some additional insurance language that the village had required, and we had $1, I think, error in the numbers as far as the rounding up or down, so we revised that. I fully support it and ask that you vote for it today. It goes retroactive back to January 1 of this year.
So all the terms match the other town fire halls, exactly. The only thing different, we provide $700 in LoSAP money to the other fire halls. We only provide $300 to the Lewiston 1 because the village takes care of the other 400.
That's correct.
So I would ask for a motion to approve the fire protection services between the town and Lewiston Fire Company number 1.
I will make that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. I know I received a lot of calls on it why we didn't approve Lewiston 1, but there was no negotiations going on. It was strictly wording of the
Do you need a
contract.
motion to sign it or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Make a motion for the supervisor to sign the contract.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Transfer of excess property, Al?
I'll take care of that too.
Yep.
Mr. Supervisor. If you recall back, in March and April, there was an application from Allison and Dana Varney, to purchase what was effectively an abandoned alleyway. It was a street, a paper street, that kind of bisected a parcel of property that they owned. As they were selling that property, became, unfortunately to their knowledge, that the transaction to transfer this portion of the paper alleyway to them never took place, so they did not in fact own it. They asked the town if we would be willing to declare it as excess. We did, and we made sure that it was specifically the portion of that alleyway that connects the two contiguous pieces of property that they did own. They were in a contract at that time. Thankfully, that the transaction was preserved until we were able to make the following moves. Any sale of town property requires a permissive referendum, which requires the town to first declare it to be excess property, which we did at the April 14th meeting, then post it in several places for a period of excess of 30 days. We've done that. There has been no request or objection to it, and today you can now vote to, as the property's already been declared excess and the timeline has expired, to transfer this portion of property, again, only connecting the two contiguous pieces of property owned already by Mr. and Mrs. Varney, to them. It will be subject to attorney approval. It's subject to the direction, because there was a transaction. I don't want the town board to hamstring the transaction, that it would go from the town to Mr. and Mrs. Varney. I believe it will go directly from the town to the new purchaser of their other two parcels of property.
Okay. Which resolution do you want me to read first?
if you have a resolution.
Oh, we already have a resolution for April 14th.
Those were already done, Mr.
Oh,
Supervisor. All you have to do is
okay.
authorize the supervisor to, you vote for the transmission of the property of the transaction, from the town of Lewiston to the Varneys or such other person as they may designate, subject to town attorney approval. And I will make sure that the paperwork, that's submitted by the Varney's attorney is appropriate.
Okay. Do you want to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do you have a second?
Second.
So basically, I just want to make one comment. This is their backyard.
It's between, it's
Yeah.
between their backyard and their front yard.
It's their backyard.
Yeah.
So, and unfortunately, we have a paper alleyway throughout that whole neighborhood.
That's correct.
And the biggest fear is selling this to the Varneys and giving them somebody's access to the whole neighborhood. We kind of chop the property up. It's only their backyard. So with that, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We need to.
And then secondly, if you could authorize the supervisor to sign any documents that I subsequently approve.
Make the motion for supervisor to sign that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and for FOIL attorney, so, Al, do you wanna explain why you're unable to handle?
Certainly. Under the FOIL law, freedom of information, typically it's the attorney's role to make sure that any disclosures of documents held by the town are appropriate. I am currently I'm a part-time public defender with the Niagara County Public Defender's Office, and as such, the district attorney has raised some objections to me reviewing FOILs relating to any police or criminal activity, because of my involvement in the Public Defender's Office. So because of that, I believe the town's intention today is to hire on an ad hoc basis.
I'm gonna read the letter.
Very good.
So, I reached out to our other attorney, Tom Seaman. He does planning and zoning. He is unable to provide that service. I reached out to a couple other attorneys, and when I tell you it was hard to find an attorney that would do FOILs, it was hard to find an attorney to do FOILs. Ned Coleman with McGavern and Grimm. I reached out to him. He currently does the FOILs for the City of Niagara Falls Police Department. He said, give me the weekend. I heard from him the following week and he would do that. So I'm gonna read this real quick. Steve Broderick, Supervisor, Town Lewiston, in representation for FOIL requests. Mr. Broderick, my firm is offering to assist the Town of Lewiston by providing legal services regarding requests to the town under Article 6 of New York's Public Offices Law, Freedom of Information. Our representation would be to coordinate responses to FOIL requests with the Town Clerk's Office. We would review such requests and advise the Clerk's Office as to the appropriate response. We would also draft the responses and forms to be used for the responses. In the event that requests require litigation, we would also represent the town in all court proceedings. Enclosed herewith is our letter of engagement, which further details our proposed representation. We are very pleased that you decided to employ our firm to provide legal services for you. The scope of our services to provide legal representation to Town of Lewiston regarding requests for information and documentation pursuant to New York Freedom of Information Law. It's for police only. Fees for our services are based predominantly on the time we devote to your matters. My hourly rate, and this is Ned Perlman, is $280 an hour. The rates per hour for paralegal services are $140 an hour. Our hourly rates may be subject to a small annual increase of which you shall be notified. Disbursements are expenses which we incur on your behalf. For example, your bill may show disbursements for documentation, for document reproduction, long distance telephone calls, filing and search fees in government offices, courier charges such as FedEx or local messenger service, travel, postage, computer research charges, and other expenditures which may be appropriate in handling your work. For filing fees, recording fees, and taxes are knowable in advance in a substantial amount, we may request prepayment before advancing funds on your behalf. And I just want to cover that. That would be paid for by the person requesting the FOIL. We shall send you bills periodically. Our normal billing cycle is monthly, but in certain cases we may not bill you until the project is completed, and in other cases, such as if we foresee incurring a large disbursement, we may ask you for payment in advance. Nevertheless, we reserve the right to send periodic bills if things take longer than we expect. Those should be paid within 15 days after they are rendered. regard is passing 30 days after they are resident. You impose a finance charge on it. Okay. So, basically, it would approve McGavin, Grimm, Ed Perlman at a rate of $280 an hour in paralegal services and $140 an hour to handle all our police FOIL requests. Can I get a motion?
So moved as presented.
We have a motion, do I get a second? Motion and a second, any
Just a
questions? Yep.
They're only gonna handle the police for,
Yes. Al will handle all the others.
oh,
Al's only conflict is
Yes.
with law enforcement, is with police,
okay.
okay? So we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, and, yeah, I believe, how do we handle police foils?
Any attorney fees come out of our attorney fee budget.
Okay. But we need a motion for me to sign the contract
Correct.
as well.
I'll make that motion for supervisor to sign.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. And engineering.
Yes, I have a few items for the board to consider. The first one is, if you should consider the formal adoption of a slightly revised, new service connection detail. It's called SA-18. This document is included in the town standard specifications. There have been some very minor modifications to it, extending the clay dam, including some non-shrink grout and a link seal at the basement wall, and some other very minor items that needed to be cleaned up at the request of Jeff and his staff. So I formally did those, and just as a formality, so we can formally include those in the standard specs, I would ask the town board to consider authorizing or approving those modifications.
So basically, we need a motion to approve the new service connection details as described here in front.
I'll make that motion.
A motion, a second, any questions? Jeff, this is for sewer as well?
Yes, thank you, yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Second item, if the board would consider authorizing the supervisor to execute the construction contract for Riverfront Park, subject to review and approval by the town attorney.
Motion? Second. We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Go
Oh,
ahead.
no, I said I already, but.
Okay, opposed?
No,
Okay, motion carried.
upward, when do you think we'll be able to break ground?
We got one of the contracts back today, we need the other two. We're hoping that we'll have those on Monday, and we can schedule a pre-construction meeting, if it works out everybody's schedule, as early as next week. So groundbreaking might be 2 to 4 weeks after that, maybe? It depends on some equipment ordering and material delivery and that kind of thing, but certainly this summer for sure.
Yeah, we've had some inquiries, it's sort of exciting, I hope we get it.
It's, took a long time to get there.
Yeah.
Okay. I have one more.
Go ahead.
You wanna do the TerraPoint survey for Morgan now?
Sure.
Okay. I don't know if everybody has or not, there is a, proposal from TerraPoint Land Surveying, okay, to survey the width of the right-of-way throughout the entire Morgan Farm subdivision. The amount is $34,475. I would offer or suggest rather that TerraPoint work directly for the town, and collection of that data will help advance and further the resolution of the drainage problems that exist within that subdivision.
So just to explain, what Jeff talked about earlier, would help the sewer situation. This will help groundwater. This will help drainage.
Surface.
Figure out. So, I would ask for a motion to approve TerraPoint at, you said
$34,475.
and that would come from H97, correct, Jackie? Yep. So, can I get that motion?
I'll make that motion.
There's a motion and a second, any questions? All in favor?
Mr.
Aye.
Supervisor, before you vote on it, maybe you should include the fact that the town is hiring TerraPoint directly versus through GHD
Okay,
as part of your motion.
so in your motion that the town will hire TerraPoint directly from the town to TerraPoint at $34,475
$475.
from H97.
That's the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Yeah.
And do I have to sign a contract?
Well, yeah, if you could ask for execution of the law, just a one page.
Motion for a supervisor to sign the contract.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I'm glad we're moving forward on that. Budget revisions. Jackie?
Yes, previously I submitted one budget revision for 2025, and tonight I asked for your approval to process that revision.
Yeah, I went over it with Jackie today to make the motion that we approve the budget revision.
As presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Councilman Jacoby.
I have two items tonight. First and foremost is, I'll read a letter. Honorable board members, I'm excited to inform you that I will be retiring as the chief of police effective the 28th of June, 2025. I would like to thank the current and all previous town board members for the continued support and kindness throughout the years that I've been with the town of Lewiston. It has been an honor and privilege to serve with such dedicated men and women. Even though I am excited to start this next phase of my life, I will miss working with and alongside all of you. Kindly let me know if there's anything I can do to help with this transition. Thank you all for this wonderful opportunity. And that's from Chief Frank Previn. And it is with regret that I make the motion that we accept his retirement.
He doesn't regret it.
I know that.
So, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. And, as I told the chief, we won't make any fanfare tonight because we didn't know he was retiring until just now. So, he's going to address the board at the next meeting. He has one more board meeting left. His last official day is June 28th, is it? 27th. But he's out of uniform on June, what?
13th would be my last
On
one.
June 13th. So, all cards, gift certificates, be sent to the police department before that day. He doesn't need Tim Hortons. Go ahead with,
Yeah, I have one other thing. Please add the following individuals to our rolls as a new member of the Upper Mountain Fire Company of Lewiston, New York, effective this date. Zoe Bays, Wade C. Foster, and McCoy L.
McMahon.
McMahon? Okay.
That's a motion.
Yeah, that's a motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? I just want to say I give these kids credit because for students at Niagara University, the last thing on my mind when I was in college was joining a fire company, volunteering to go on fire calls. And I know Upper Mountain's very fortunate that they get some of these students. And actually, I didn't know this. The fire company has a little dormitory in the back. Yeah. And over the past several years, they have had students actually stay there. And, you know, college is super expensive. I don't know what they charge them or if they charge them, but yes, they have a little room in the back and they have this. So I give Upper Mountain credit for utilizing that, and I give these kids a lot of credit for volunteering to the local fire company. So I just want to put that on the record.
When we were in New York City, I went to that presentation about, recruiting volunteer firemen. And that's one of the things they tried around the state, around the country, is to have these dormitory arrangements. And, just Upper Mountain's in the forefront of progress.
Yeah.
That's all I have to know.
Councilman Morial?
Yeah, I got some approvals from the planning board. First one, the planning board meeting, the regular session on May 15th, 2025, reviewed a one-lot split request from Stephen Drapsick at 4419 Creek Road, Lewiston, New York, 14092, SBL number 88-01-1-8. The board classified this as a minor to be treated as a minor. The planning board recommends a negative declaration with regards to seeker. So I need a motion on the seeker.
Yours is
Mine's motion,
Oh,
sorry.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
The planning board recommends approval of the one lot split as presented. You guys need a motion on that? That's a motion.
We have motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, now you're good.
Thank you.
The next one, the planning board meeting in regular session on May 15, 2025, reviewed a one lot split request from Dave Grenier at SPL 131.07-1-22, Saunders Settlement Road. The board classified this as a minor to be treated as a minor. The planning board recommends a negative deck with regards to seeker. That's a motion.
We have motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Planning board recommends approval of the one lot split as presented. It's also a motion.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I'll set it.
Thank you so much. Can I ask you one question? How do I obtain addresses for that?
Tim Masters, our building inspector assigns, street numbers.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you so much.
And he's off this week, he's back next week.
Thank you so much.
Okay, now we're going.
Last one, planning board meeting in regular session on May 15, 2025, reviewed a request from Jason Lombardi for a site plan at 4194 Lower River Road, SPL 73.00-1-44. Planning board recommends a negative declaration. That's a motion for a negative deck.
We have motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
The planning board recommends that the development conforms with the riverfront overlay district and recommends approval of the site plan as presented. It's also a motion.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. As long as he doesn't take down any trees.
Thank you. I'm gonna
Gotta
plant
leave
lots of nice new ones.
All right, I got some, well, I've been here since 2016, and we had a little shed out back with some equipment that's been laying against it since Steve and I got elected back then. So I'd like to make a motion that we declare it access equipment and be put on Auctions International. There's a riding lawnmower with 4 flat tires, a smashed hood.
Are you trying to sell this, or?
No, I'm just telling you what I put on. There's a trailer and there's a a snow blower attachment. So I'd like to place them 3 things on Auctions International and get them out.
Nobody rushed to Auctions International to buy that fine tractor. We have a motion to, declare that, excess equipment. We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And the last, I got a proposal here to replace all the lamps at the police station, inside and outside. The total cost to replace them, give me 1 second, is $11,379.06. National Grid is gonna pay 70% of the labor and the lights. So the town's contribution will be $3,413.72 to have it all replaced. And the savings per year, estimated annual savings in dollars will be $5,409.05 per year savings in electric. So it's a no-brainer, basically. I'd like to make a motion to have all the light fixtures replaced at the police station.
Second.
Motion a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now, this is something that Rob and I did when Rob first came on board, or we first came on board. And since then, in less than 10 years, they have a new product that saves the town this kind of money. So it's unbelievable how often light fixtures. Do you have to make a motion for me to sign the contract?
Yes, the motion, and then where it's the money's coming from. I'll make a motion for supervisor to sign the contract.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Jackie, we're gonna pay for that out of the H98 account, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Mr. Supervisor, before you move on, Mr. Moriello's motion to declare that equipment as excess was made, but there was no motion to place it on Auctions International.
Okay.
If you could have a second.
I'll make a motion to place that equipment on Auctions International.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Thanks, Ed.
Thank you.
That's all for me.
Okay,
Okay, looking to make a motion to approve the following seasonal hires for the recreation department for spring and summer recreation season, starting hours, June second, 2025. It's to hire Shannon Young as a recreational leader at $17 an hour. Motion.
I'll second that.
with motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Anything else? Okay. Resident statements, I have nobody that signed up for resident statements at the end of the meeting, is there anybody that wishes to speak? Okay, with that, I will add upcoming boards, commission meetings, historic preservation, are you meeting on June 10th?
I think we might, but I can't positively say.
Okay, so it's tentatively scheduled for June 10th at 5:45 p.m. Zoning board is June 12th at 6 p.m. Planning board is June 26th at 6:30 p.m. There is no work session in June, July, or August. Our next town board meeting is going to be on June 23rd at 6 p.m. With that, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion, adjourn.
All in favor? Aye.
The students need anything signed?
Yes,
Come on out.
full sign.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Long time earned.
Yeah.
Very good for you.